Thank you, Denise. Yeah, why are we here, right? Why are we here? Because Denise asked me to come talk to you guys during lunch today. That's why we're here, okay? Really, why are we here? This is me, right? Denise went through it all those acronyms there. Certified Active Assailant Instructor just means I sat through a lot of classes. The Sheriff's Department paid for me to sit on my butt and listen to a lot of people talk about it, about school safety, about business safety and church safety. Yeah, like Denise said, I've trained over 29 churches and businesses, the major businesses being like West Rock Packing out of Perigo over there, Alexander Drugs in Douglas. Those were one of the first few that I trained, and numerous other businesses, churches. Churches are a big thing right now. Schools are a big thing after the 25th anniversary of Columbine. I don't know if anybody was around the Holland area. It was going crazy over there. So anniversaries are big things to worry about. So I'm going to talk to you today about the oh no approach, okay, for your employees and businesses. The oh no approach is going to talk about observe, initiate a hello, navigate the risk, and obtain help if and when needed. We're going to jump right into it. Effectively using right words can be a powerful tool, right? Anybody know why Walmart has greeters? That 80-year-old person standing in Walmart, right, and Meijer now too, and most department stores that you go to, they're not stopping you from committing or stealing stuff from their store, right? They're there to make sure that you know that somebody's watching you, right? Churches and businesses, if you're attentive to people that are walking in and out of your business or in and out of your church or anything like that, if you're attentive to that, people pick up on that. Simple hello can help, right? Determine why they're there, right? If I come up to Jen and she's probably a little nervous because I'm a cop. Hi, Jen, how you doing?
Good, how are you?
Good. Yeah. She didn't get nervous. She didn't look away. She maintained eye contact with me. When I do this kind of thing in churches, people are like, oh, don't look at me. You're a cop. You're scary. You're big. You're tall. But a simple hello, right? That's why we have greeters in churches for security reasons too, right? When I do my security presentations for churches, I always tell them that person in the front door saying hello is going to deter things. Going to deter people from wanting to come in your church. Determine why they're there, right? If somebody's at your business and they mean to do harm, you need to determine why they're there. If you're at a hardware store and they're asking for pool supplies, right? Probably a bad example. If you're at a hardware store and they're talking about getting golf equipment, right? Probably not in the right spot. Either A, they're confused, or B, they're making up a lie to justify why they're there. It helps your employees to A, observe people, right? B, evaluate why they're there. When I talk to church safety and security teams, I'm like, you can see from a person what they're doing by just looking at them for a second. Evaluate their body language, right? 88% of the people in the world are right-handed. So if you've got a quick glance and you think somebody's armed, check between the knee and the armpit on the right side. More than likely, if they're carrying a gun, you'll be able to see it. They'll do security checks on it. And it empowers your employees. It empowers them to think, hey, I can do something about it. Right? When I do this in schools, teachers are like, well, I can't do that. Well, you most certainly can. And I tell them right there in front of their superintendent, if you see something wrong, you can call a lockdown for schools, right? Same thing with your business. If you see something wrong, right, empower your employees to do something about it. In schools, I say, if you can't get out your door and you need to get out of that classroom, take a chair and throw it through a window. Oh, I can't do that. The principal's going to get mad at me. No, okay? Superintendent's going to get upset because I just broke a window. Not if you're saving kids' lives, he's not. And if he does, I'll have a chat with him, right? And teach them how to obtain help. Teach your employees how to obtain help. So observe, right? Stay vigilant of your surroundings. Being situationally aware. Nowadays, most students, and I talk to the high school students about this, when they're in the hallways, because they can't have their phones in the class, they're, right? You watch on YouTube or anything else, all these people walking around, they walk into fountains and signs and everything else because they're looking on these, right? You need to be situation aware. You need to know what's going on around your business, around, when you're leaving your business. Anybody have money drops they do with their businesses? Right? Night deposits or anything like that? Do you vary your route? Do you go a different route every time to the bank, or have your employee go a different route every time to the bank? I worked security at Bittersweet, and it wasn't hard, and I brought this to their attention. It wasn't hard to figure out who was making the money drop every night when they were done. And they've got thousands and thousands of dollars. I told them if I was going to rob you, because cops have to think like bad guys, right? We just wear a gun. And if I were to rob you, I would bring a snowmobile to the end of the driveway. I would wait until a car that I know that I've been scouting comes up, stops to turn, and I'd rob you and I'd be on my way. I'd be on the Allegan County snowmobile trails. It'd be hard to find me. So stay vigilant of your surroundings. Alert other employees if you have a problem. Prolonged interest. If somebody's hanging around your business day after day after day, right? They're not coming in your business, or they're just hanging out in the parking lot. We get these calls all the time, even from citizens. Somebody's parked in my neighbor's driveway, been there for an hour. Doesn't look like my neighbor's car. We go over, we check it out. Sure enough, it was a cousin waiting for the neighbor to get home. No big deal. If they're sitting out in your parking lot, especially in closing time, maybe they're trying to figure out who's making the night deposit or shuffling the money in and out of the business. Be attuned to that. Observe that. Somebody's taking pictures or videos of your place of business and not coming in, right? Personnel and facilities, right? They're asking, what kind of shifts do you work? How late are you open? What time do you close? Right? How many people work here? How big is your business? Those kind of things. Security features, right? When I walk into a building or a school or anything like that, the first thing I look at are security features. Do they have cameras? At churches, when I do church presentations, I usually do a walk around before I talk to them in their church. Do they have cameras? What kind of security do they have? Okay. Sometimes I'll show up on a Sunday and walk in their church and see if anybody says hi to me or anything like that. Anybody stops me, asks me what I'm doing, because I'm not a familiar face, and I stand out pretty well, right? Loitering, somebody loitering in your parking lot, right? You get a lot of this. We've had a lot of it in Hamilton with teenagers at the grocery store in Hamilton, right? They hang out in the parking lot. Now, they're not doing bad things. Well, they might be doing bad things, but they don't want to do bad things in the grocery store. But if somebody's at your business 3, 4, 5 times, anybody remember the Martin State Bank when that was open? Anybody in here? I have to ask questions sometimes because I brought it up in a school training, and one of the people that were there, she wasn't at Martin State Bank, but she was a bank robbery victim. So anybody got problems with that? Martin State Bank, an attentive employee, bank manager. The individual had scouted this place out for about 2 weeks. We found out because he had a manifest. Scouted it out for about 2 weeks, had a gun, had a mask, stopped in front of the door to put his ski mask on. Bank manager saw this, walked over, locked the door, and got back, got all the employees behind the counter, and was able to prevent that robbery, that bank robbery. Guy had a gun in his hand, walked up to the door. You can see it on video. He rattles the door like puts his gun in his waist and walks back to his car. 2 miles down the road, we stop, a few miles down the road between Martin and Plainwell, we were able to get a stop on him. Sure enough, he was planning to rob the bank, but he thought it was closed. After 2 weeks of scouting it was, I don't remember what day it was, but it was a banking hours day, right? And he thought it was closed. So he's like, messed up his OODA loop, right? And we'll talk a little bit about that in a little bit. Continued suspicious activity, right? What's suspicious activity around your place of business? What doesn't look normal? Expressed or implied threats. Somebody makes a threat toward your business, you need to be contacting law enforcement and letting us know. Doesn't matter where you work, right? We've got more people that are not from Allegan County in here, I'm guessing, right? Get with your local law enforcement. If you're at Tommy's Car Wash, just ask a couple of your retired cops that are employees. If somebody comes to you and uses abusive language, right? If somebody's abusive with you with language, that's something you need to be aware of. If they start talking about suicide or homicidal ideations while they're in your place of business, something to be aware of. Statements about harming others, right? Where is Denise? I walk into the Chamber of Commerce building. Where's Denise at? She's not here today. Well, why not? GD, I want to talk to Denise and I want to talk to her now. If you don't go get her, you're going to get hurt. That's something to clue in on, right? Start getting some other people coming towards you to help you out. Violent gestures, right? I just talked about that. Initiate a hello, right? Use the power of hello to engage. Smile. Smile when you talk to people, right? Some people say I'm too serious and I don't smile enough. My wife says that once in a while. But when I'm umpiring baseball for high school, right? Some people say I don't smile enough, I look too serious. Sorry. Make eye contact with people. Introduce yourself, right? Hi, Kevin, I'm Joe. How you doing today? Nice to meet you, right? Just that little thing. If Kevin wanted to do something bad to us in here, he wouldn't be that calm, okay? He wouldn't make eye contact with me because I just confronted him. And they don't want people to confront them. They don't want to be confronted. They want to walk in and do what they're going to do and then leave, okay? Or commit suicide or suicide by cop, whatever. Hello, how are you, right? How can I assist you? Well, I'm here at the hardware store and I need a set of golf clubs. What? Okay, you're in the wrong spot. Welcome, is this your first time here, right? Everybody's been to a used car salesman in here? Everybody's been to a used car lot, right? Or an appliance store, right? As soon as you step in the door, it's like wolves. They're running and trying to be the first one to talk to you, right? Are you looking for someone or something in particular? I will be here in case you need help, right? Usually if you walk into an appliance store and say, yeah, no, I'm just browsing, they'll be like, oh, okay. I'll be over here watching you, watching your every move. When you stop in front of that stove, I'm going to come over and say, hey, you like that stove? Right? Because they work off commission. Navigate the risk. Is the behavior you observe suspicious? Right? Does the person appear to be legitimately at your business? Okay? Do they appear to be legitimately at your business? Are they wearing a clothing consistent with the weather? We'll use 25 years ago, right? Columbine, April 20th. Those guys were dressed in trench coats. It was a warm day in Colorado that day. Is that consistent with the weather? Right? Michigan, if it's 60, everybody's in shorts. You go down to Florida, I just went down to Florida for spring break this year. It's 60 down there. I'm in shorts, flip-flops, and a tank top. I'm like, this is great. They're all down there wearing winter coats. Went out to California in December. It was 65 degrees out there, and all of the teachers were inside the classrooms in winter coats. And I got a sport coat on and a polo, and I'm going, geez, whew, you guys turn the air on? Not till it's 80. Okay. Avoid security, right? They're avoiding security. If you have security people that work in your buildings or your places of business. My dad was a union organizer, and he'd take me to places, Meijer, Kroger, and all that when he was talking to union people. And then he'd tell me to just walk around. Just walk around the store, I'll be back in an hour. Okay, Dad, cool. I'm 13 years old. So I'm walking around, and all of a sudden, I start seeing the same guy following me around, right? This was back in the 80s, before they had all the high-tech cameras and stuff. Oh, being around my dad enough and being, with him enough, I knew, hey, there's store security. They're going to follow me for a while. My dad would always ask, did store security come find you? Yep, they did, Dad. Every time I stopped to look at something, they were like, same guy walking around the corner on me. So, acting appropriately to being there in a manner, or in a manner that makes one suspicious, right? How are they acting when they're in your place of business? Are they acting appropriately, or are they acting in a way that makes the hair on the back of your neck stand up? Now, being in law enforcement, the hair on the back of my neck stands up, I know something's wrong. Something's going to go wrong. Something's going to be wrong. And usually I can tell by the way the person's acting. Are they walking back and forth? Are they pacing? Are they looking through me and around me trying to figure out an exit? It happens a lot. Taking pictures of security cameras and exit areas, right? We talked about that a little bit. I walk in a building, most people when they walk in a building will exit the same exit or the same way they came in, right? Anybody notice the other exits in this building or in this room? Right, there's one there, probably one through there. If the shooter came in this door, we could get through those doors. There's 6, 8 exits over here, especially with chairs, right? But most people will exit the same way they come in. And they'll try that if stress gets high enough. Be cognizant of that, right? Movie theaters, there's always exits up in the front. But if somebody exits a movie theater, they always go through the back, or the way they came in. Ask questions about procedures, right? Asking about your procedures. What time do you open? How many people are here? How many people open the doors when you have your business going? Okay, do you guys keep cash on hand? Do you have a cash register that's visible? Who closes? What does the schedule look like? Do you work 12-hour shifts? Do you work 10-hour shifts? Do you work 8 hours? Do you have banker's hours? Do you all take off for lunch every day at noon? Okay, those kind of things you have to be aware of. Causing you to feel threatened, right? If I were to walk up to Dave and say, "Hi, Dave, how you doing?" Right? Dave just flinched a little bit. He felt threatened. Okay? Dave felt threatened there. No offense, Dave, but okay? If somebody does that to you, navigate that risk and figure out what's going on. Obtain help, right? Use the oh-no approach to provide law enforcement with the best information you can. Females are great at this, right? Females are great people to get on the phone with 911. If a female were to describe me, they'd be like, he had 5'11" cargo tan pants, khaki pants on, right? A black polo that was probably a 5'11", short sleeve. He had black hiking boots on, right? He had a gun on his right hip. He had 2 microphones on him, 2 wires hanging down from him. If a guy would describe, and this is just a generalization, but it happens, if a guy were to describe me, I had black pants or black shirt on, some tan colored pants, I think. I don't even know what kind of shoes he had on, right? Whereas, like I said, a female would be like, oh yeah, we're all kind of older, like my age. He had Jordache jeans on with the stripes on the back, right? Get a sagebrush shirt. I don't know if anybody remembers sagebrush, but acid wash jeans, okay? Call 911. Get 911 on the line to obtain help. To organize your thoughts, ask the 5 W's. Law enforcement, we do this all the time. What's happening? What's the person doing, right? What are they doing? What's going on? Dispatch will ask you all this when you call 911. Who is doing it? Well, Joe's in here and he's talking to us and he's kind of making us bored, and we just had lunch and we're a little sleepy because the soup was warm and it's, you know, right? Where is it taking place? When did you observe it, right? Some people will call dispatch and say, oh my gosh, somebody went into my neighbor's house. Well, when did they observe that? Or when did it happen? Oh, it was like an hour ago. It doesn't do us a lot of good then, right? But why are they there, right? Joe's at Ace Hardware. He's got a shotgun strapped over his shoulder. He's got a gun on his hip. Why are they there? I don't know. Maybe he's one of those, and I have no qualms with the Second Amendment, right? But that's a long story to get into. Maybe he's one of these Second Amendment people. We've had him walking around Wayland before, walking down in Jackson's Western store, shotgun strapped over their shoulder, walking down the sidewalk, right? We came in and asked him what he was doing, and I'm just carrying my gun like I'm legally able to. All right, have a good day, sir. Let law enforcement know about any suspicious activity around your business, even if it's minor, okay? Even if you don't think it's a big deal, it may become a big deal, right? If you say, hey, this guy in the black car was parked in my parking lot this morning when my employees showed up, and 5 days later he's been there every morning, right? And on the 8th day, you finally decide to say something, and on the 9th day, something happens, right? We'd rather know about it, right? People ask why. When should I call 911? Whenever you feel you should call 911. We have people call 911 because their kids won't get out of bed to go to school. Honest to God. Johnny won't get up and get dressed and go to school. I need law enforcement over here to do that for him. Basically, they want me or us to be their parent, be the parent, right? But we've got them. We've had them. I tell the new guys that I used to train when I was a field training officer, if someone feels they needed to call 911, you need to treat that as the most important thing because it is that person, right? If you feel you need to call 911, call 911. If you need to, if you don't think it's a 911 emergency, then call the non-emergency number. They're listed, listed in the phone book. Whew, dated myself. Any young bucks in here, phone book used to, yeah. You had to thumb through it to find everything. You just pull this out and, okay. Obtain help continued here. Develop relationships with your local law enforcement and fire departments, right? They can help. They can be your friends. We are your friends. We like to be friends. Okay? Have emergencies numbered, listed, so all employees can see them. All employees. Have them listed by every phone you have in your offices or in your place of business. So in case there's an emergency, you're empowering your employees, going back to empowering them, you're empowering your employees to be able to make that call if they need to. We're going to talk a little bit about Strategos and the 3-out model. Okay? It's the company that I'm currently certified to teach in. I teach bus training on it. I teach schools and I teach businesses about the 3-out model. And this is something you can use no matter where you're at. If you're at the mall with your family, if you're at a restaurant with your family or friends, these are things you can use, and things that hopefully or can help save your life, right? We talked about Oxford, right? Everybody knows about the Oxford shooting. It happened a year ago. Parents just got sentenced. Kids waiting to get sentenced or did get sentenced. Big thing with that one is the parents got sentenced, right? But Oxford, schools started calling me after that, saying, well, what can we do? Oxford, that kid shot nine shots in 7 seconds. Hit 8 people. I tell my principals and my superintendent at my school, and I tell every school around in the county, there's no way that we can stop that. Now, you can argue that the principals and the superintendents, and when they were talking to that kid prior, could have stopped it, suspended him, kicked him out of school. But if somebody's going to do something, they're going to do it unless they get stopped. Right? 7 seconds, 8 people shot at Oxford. We have to mitigate it, right? That's why we say, hey, get them out of the area as quick as possible. Get your employees out of that area as quick as possible. You can go online and watch all these run, hide, fight videos that they put out by the feds, state, whatever. The run, hide, fight video, it's good video. It's good training stuff. The only thing I don't like about it is the hide part, okay? If you're hiding, you're not having a say in your outcome. And they teach that linear, right? And I'm talking about the 3-out process. They teach that linear when they teach run, hide, fight. First you run. If you can't run, then you hide. If you can't hide, then you have to fight, right? But you need to do it in these steps to make sure you're okay, right? The 3-out model, we teach it. There's lockout, right? Lock the door. Simple lock the door. Like the bank manager down here at Martin State Bank, which is no longer open, but she just locked the door and stopped a bank robbery, right? If I can just lock the door. Sandy Hook. That kid came in, shot the principal, shot the secretary, right? Turned left down the hallway. First door he came to, locked. There's a video, Diane Sawyer talks to that teacher. It's on YouTube if you want. It's kind of a tearjerker, right? I use it to get attention at schools because it does get their attention. And the only school I had a problem with is some people were saying, well, that was a little harsh, was my own school at Hamilton. When I showed it to all of them, and they all know me, so I think they felt okay coming up to me and telling me that they thought the video was a little harsh, but it's a good video, a good interview. Lock the room or building you are in, right? If you can get to the front doors, that's why we have glass on everything in the schools. If you can get to that front door and lock it down, most schools are locked from during school anyways, and after school, at least the secured entry to where they have to get buzzed in to get into the school itself. But if you can lock those, or you notice something wrong, and you can lock your front door, that'll save you a lot of problems. Next one's get out, right? Get out of the area. If somebody came in that back door with a gun, I'd be the first one to notice. Y'all be going that way, and I'd be running that way, right? But there's the exits. Some of you in the back would probably try to get out that way, because that's the entrance you came into, or that way you came in. Get out of the area if you are safe to do so. I tell teachers, if you're right next to an exit and we're in lockdown and you hear gunshots or you hear that there is gunshots in a building and you know 100% opening that door and getting out that exit right next to you won't get any of your kids hurt, go for it. Go for it. If you're in your classroom and for some reason the shooter wants to get into your classroom bad enough because you gave him a D, right, which happened at Arapahoe High School, kid got demoted from varsity to JV debate team, went in the school and tried to shoot he was the librarian and the debate coach, tried to shoot him, couldn't, shot down a hallway, blind luck, hit one girl that was sitting on a bench. She died. He went in the library, noticed that the librarian debate coach got out the back door, sat in the library for a few seconds. I got to listen to the SRO that was in that building. He was one of my instructors for SRO school. Talked about it. By the time he got down to the library and was getting ready to enter the library doors, the kid shot himself. Right? But that teacher, that debate coach, was able to get out. But you never know what's going to set these people off. Takeout. We don't, when I do schools, businesses, we don't train you to be ninjas falling from the ceiling. You know, Tom Cruise in Mission Impossible, sprawled out with a cable on his back, trying to get the diamonds or whatever he's trying to get, I forget. But, takeout. Everybody's got improvised weapons. If you sit at a desk, you've got a ton of them. Okay? If it's between you dying and them dying, an ink pen to the neck does wonders. Okay? A stapler, a cell phone thrown at somebody. If they're ducking, right? If they're ducking you, throwing something at them, they're not shooting. They're not shooting your employees. They're not shooting at you. Okay? Pair of scissors, right? If you're in an office, and most businesses, business problems, are they have a beef with either an employer, another employee, right? Or they have a beef because they got fired. You docked their pay, right? You took overtime from them, right? Money's a big thing. Sutherland Springs, Texas, right? That biggest church shooting ever, right? Where he stood outside and shot around into the, into the church. That was a domestic situation. Okay? His ex-wife was there. He knew she was going to be at church, or his mother-in-law was going to be at church. Thought she was there. She wasn't there that day, just his mother-in-law. But that's why he went there, right? That's why he went there. Tommy, I'm going to pick on Tommy's over here for a little bit. Tommy's Car Wash, if I want to go to Tommy's Car Wash and do something to the employees there, they've got the Taj Mahal on the corner of Waverly and Lincoln Road now, right? They're big business, big corporation headquarters. It's right there. I know where it's at. I can see it, okay? I know, like I talk about churches, you know where they're at. When I was recruiting for Hope College before the days of these, times had changed a lot. I'm going down to Sturgis, Michigan tonight to look at a running back that plays at Sturgis. I don't have a map. I just drive to Sturgis. I know how to get to Sturgis. I drive to Sturgis, look for the football stadium lights, right? I know where the school's at. Back to the takeout. Sorry, I jumped down a rabbit hole there. But back to takeout, right? Anything can be used as a weapon. And a pair of keys, right? Back in the day, they used to teach women carry your keys between your knuckles. If somebody tries to attack you while you're getting in your car, you just jab them with it, right? Jab them in the throat, eye, anything. You want to do this as a last resort, though, right? Nobody's got technical training in how to put a chokehold on somebody or take their arm and put them down on the ground. But if you have to fight, you have to have a plan and know how you're going to do it. Okay? 34 minutes. Any questions? I don't know where Denise went, but anybody have any questions? Yes, sir. Sorry.
So working with churches.
Yes.
At what point, you got all sorts of, big congregations, small, different levels of security. At what point do you recommend somebody carry?
Somebody carry?
What do you see?
It depends on how big your church is. I was at a national church conference last year in October in Kansas City, right? And I had the instructor there that was talking in this class, a 28-acre church, right? What was he said? He had 8 gyms in his church. He had 28 full-time security people, and basically their own police department, right? They carry, because they have, any given time, they have 3 services on Sunday, 10,000 people in each service. I was like, oh, well, my church has got like 100. You know, that's, when I do churches, I suggest for arming, right, if you're going to be armed, a gun solves one problem, right? Most of the time, a gun will solve one problem. And most of the time, I tell schools and churches, you're more likely to have a medical emergency than you are to have somebody come in your church with a gun. Okay? If you've got greeters and security people watching, you can mitigate all that. But carrying a gun at church, is a lot of training, a lot of liability for people, right? And it solves just one problem. Answer your question? Good. Anybody else have any questions? I'm sorry.
Do you think that this has been going on for a long time and we're just more aware because of the social media? I bring that up because my 20-something-year-old nephew called me a pessimist last night for bringing these types of things to awareness. Mm-hmm. He's like, it's no big deal.
Yeah, it is a big deal. And the media, right? I will never, if I'm talking about a certain situation or something, I will never use the suspect's name or the person who did the act, their names. They've had enough notoriety, right? I was surprised last week with the 25th anniversary of Columbine, there wasn't more in the news about it. But the news has learned that, hey, wow, let's wake up. If we don't put them on the news, they're not going to do it, right? The kid at Sandy Hook, 4-foot by 8-foot paper on his wall in his bedroom of every active shooter thing that ever happened at schools. They learn from each other, they track each other. The guy at Virginia Tech, right? Largest casualty incident at a school. He learned from people. He knew, hey, SWAT's not sitting around and waiting like we did at Columbine, or the cops aren't going to sit and wait for SWAT to show up. They're coming in the building right away. So what did he do? Chain the door shut. Fastest reaction. There were 2 SWAT teams on campus at Virginia Tech that day. It took them 2 minutes to get to that building after the shooting started. 2 minutes. 2 full, capable SWAT teams. But yet it was the largest mass shooting in a school we've ever had. Why? Because he learned, right? And then he chained the door shut, slowed down law enforcement's response, right? And don't ask me about Uvalde, because I don't want to talk about that one. But if anybody was thinking about it, yeah, we'll skip that. But yeah, these people learn from each other. They're constantly learning from each other. Who knows when basically we're going postal, right? The phrase a lot of people use. Who knows where that came from? Where at? Post office, right? Where at though? And when? 1980. Edmond, Oklahoma, postal warehouse. That's where it came from, right? 1980. And one of the people there, and I use this when I talk about the outs, the guy had to take out, one of the guys who lived had to take the guy out before he could get out, right? He walked around a corner, the shooter was there, he shoved him over a stack of mail or mail bags and then got out and lived. But that's where, in 1980, all the way back then, Edmond, Oklahoma, postal building. That's where that phrase come from. Anybody else have any questions? Yes, ma'am.
When do you play like the, I don't want to say what if, but like in a school situation, if the door is locked and you hear hear, let's say, the shooting inside the school, and you could get kids or whoever out the window, do you play the what if there's someone out there waiting for them, or?
You a school teacher?
No, I work
Okay. School teachers ask that all the time. What if, what if, what if, what if, what if, what if? Yep, what if monkeys could fly and, you know, we'd never have bananas because they'd fly and take the bananas before we could get to them. The what if game, right? We train and everybody should think about the known 3 times. One was a terrorist attack. So basically 2 times in the history of the active shooters, right, has there been more than one shooter. And only the one time were they sitting outside waiting. Jonesboro, Arkansas, 2 14-year-old kids with dad's rifles, deer hunting rifles, pulled the fire alarm, went outside, waited in the wood line for everybody to come out. Okay? Shot most of the people as they were trying to get back in the building after their first couple of shots were taken. Herding cattle right into a door, right? Most people were shot trying to get back in. So I tell schools, when the fire alarm goes off, make sure that you have a door that's open so you don't have to waste time swiping or getting your keys out to get that door open. But we trained the unknown, or we trained to the known, right? Columbine, Jonesboro, Arkansas, and the other one was the San Bernardino Christmas party right at the county complex, but that turned out to be a terrorist attack after they went through it. Train to the known, that's what I tell all of the people when I do training. Anybody else got any questions? Do I suggest we all carry? That'd be great, right? It still happens though, right? Texas, everybody carry. I mean, if you're old enough to walk, you got a gun in your diaper, right? But it still happens in Texas. Happens a lot in Texas, right? A gun takes care of one problem, right? Just a gun takes care of one problem. Right. 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 Yep. Yep. I won't get going on that. Good guys carry guns, right? Bad guys carry guns. If you outlawed guns, only the bad guys would have them. So, right? Because they're not going to obey the law, whether it's good or bad or whatever, upside down. Yes, Michelle.
Okay, hot button question, kind of related to what she says. What do you think of gun-free zones? Does that invite the criminals in, or does it keep them out?
Depends on the perception. My patrol car sits right up front. We're a gun-free campus, right? You can't have guns on school property. I'm the only one in the school that I know of that carries a gun, right? Not supposed to, even nobody else is supposed to have a gun on there. Perception though, they see a patrol car, they're not gonna go there, right? If they see a greeter at Walmart standing there, more likely they're not gonna try to steal something, even if they are 80 years old. At churches, I always say, security guys shouldn't be your greeters, but they should be by the front door, at least one of them, right? Do the old Baptist people in here? Churches, Baptists are the highest percentage of active shooters, or Baptist churches, okay? That's why I talk about Baptists a little bit, but nothing bad. I don't know. Carl Chen, the guy who, the church guru, faith-based safety network, he does all this research, and Baptists were the top of the list. So, but back to your question. If somebody perceives that they're going to get stopped right away, they won't come in, right? If your front doors are locked, or you have people sitting by the front door as greeters in your businesses or whatever, people are less likely to come in because they know they're being watched. And they know they're going to be seen and more than likely going to be caught, because all of them want to do set the high score, right? All these active shooters, especially in schools, want to set the high score. Now, businesses and churches, like I said, are a little different. Domestic problems, work-related problems, or robbery are the top 3 reasons that they come into businesses and churches, right? Because every Sunday they're passing the plate, right? Asking for donations or tithe, right? Businesses, hey, if they've got a cash register, they got money, right? No matter how small or big you are. Yes, ma'am. Oh, Joyce, sorry.
Most churches, I mean, if people don't understand this, is after the service starts, that your security people still need to be at all those entrances, because that's when those That's the estranged husband comes in and,
Right, exactly. How many?
who's doing security for our church. Liz, we need people at the door all the time.
Yep. We lock all our doors. Took me a while to get our church to lock our doors after church starts. We lock them. Yeah, we've got cameras, right? We're a small church. We got maybe 50 people attend on Sunday. But we've got 22 security cameras around our church. I set those up. But not to pat myself on the back, but you can't go anywhere in our church without being on camera. Okay? You can't go anywhere in our church. Well, you can go to the bathroom without being on camera, but I'm going to watch you walk in the bathroom. I'm going to watch you walk out of the bathroom. Okay? But, yeah. We lock our doors. 10 minutes after service starts, my security guys or me, when I'm doing security, we're going to unlock the main entrance. We have one entrance. We used to have 3. My last pastor we had at our church, I'm like, why do we have that door open and this door open? Nobody uses them. Well, Mr. and Mrs. whoever are 80 years old, and that's the way they come in. So we're opening that door for 2 people, and that door for 1 person. Really? Why can't they drive around into the parking lot where everybody else comes in and do it? They now are dead and gone, but now those doors are locked. Our main door coming off our parking lot's the only one that's open. I've got one guy in the sanctuary, one guy standing at the top of the steps. When people come in, after the greeter talks to them, they run into the security guy who's another greeter, basically, right? And then 10 minutes after, I usually gauge it after we're done singing our opening songs. I go down and lock the door, and then one of us are sitting in the office watching the rest of the cameras. Same thing with churches, right? You're more likely going to have a medical problem than you are, so you should be up on those medical things as opposed to being up on, what are we going to do if the active shooter shows up? No, active shooter is by far the worst catastrophic thing that can happen, right? Or a tornado, right? But if you're going to start a security team, start training for that first and then work your way up. So, yes, Trista.
More of an opinion, I guess. So when it comes to like the run, hide, fight, when it comes to bank robberies, what's your opinion on, so the bank robber comes in, normally they have one goal is to get the money and to get out, right? So would you say that you don't kind of interrupt that process until they're out of the building? Would you say you start to do that right when you notice? Would you kind of let them go if they're not harming anybody, or?
Right when you notice, right? That's being situational aware of what's going on. Banks most of the time, right? When we had masks for COVID, you had to wear a mask in a bank. That's scary, right? For you bank people, it was really scary. I was just like, okay, cool. I've got a gun on, so if anything happens with another masked person, I'm here to take care of it for them. But yes, I mean, if you can lock the doors or get out or get into a safe area, right, do it. And if he walks in and there's nobody around and he can't get to anybody, that's a win-win, right? You're not getting, well, you will be traumatized a little bit, right? But you won't be traumatized as much as I've heard other, that lady, when I talked about the Martin State Bank, she was shaking and started crying. And I'm like, time out. I had one of my instructors take over. I took her outside. I'm like, well, I had a gun put in my face at a bank, and that just triggered it. That's traumatizing, right? But if you can mitigate that and get away, all the better. You're not getting traumatized. Yeah.
So,
I'll get to you in just a second.
in an election year, let's get into our polling places.
Yep.
I mean, best practice, have somebody greet them at the door.
Yep. I would. And just have them glance, right, on the right sides. Because you can't have a gun at a polling place.
It's in the fine print.
Right, yeah.
No, I mean,
Joyce used to work at the courts with us, so.
it's like, people think, well, gee, it can't happen in Wayland, it can't happen in Monty Township, it can't happen, but we've seen a heightened awareness in polling places. People are belligerent, people might get rude, people might get, there's that extra poll worker to stand at the door
Right.
and welcome everybody.
Just greet.
who walks in
Yep.
just to do that assessment.
And to make them think, to make them know that, hey, somebody's watching you. We're not just all in our books going, yeah, driver's license. Yeah, here's your card. Go over there, put it in the machine when you're done. So yes, that would be a great idea.
Is that subliminal?
Yeah. What's that? Sorry.
That's subliminal.
Yep.
Just to have
Yeah.
somebody say hello.
Yep. Yeah. Right? Say hello. Say hi. Yes, ma'am.
So, do you see any future of teachers having to carry?
I would like it, right? For the, the Oxford thing. Don't quote me on this. I'm not taking a stance on the Sheriff's Department or anything the Sheriff's Department thinks, okay? This is Joe Knapp talking, not the Allegan County Sheriff's Department. Maybe you should shut the camera off.
We can edit.
Edit that out, okay, please? No, at high school, yes. I think if you're trained enough, right? They're probably armed in Texas right now, teachers, right? Especially after Uvalde and a couple of the other things that happened. But if you're high school, yes, but guns solve one problem, right? And that's what, when people ask me, I'm like, you're solving one problem with that gun. There's more. What's that? Sorry.
What's the one problem? I have the dumb question of the room.
Well, you're only, if somebody comes in with a gun, right? That gun solves, you with that gun could solve that problem. If you're able to shoot them, right? Right? We took our guys and I did a training with them at the range where I put balloons on sticks, right? And I had a bad guy, and that was to, I lost my words. That was to simulate a classroom or a school hallway. And you had to go through and shoot the bad guys, right? They're my silhouettes with bad guys without hitting the balloons. It was pretty easy when the wind wasn't blowing. When the wind started blowing a little bit and those balloons started moving around, even the law enforcement guys were shooting bad guys, right? To get your CPL, right? What is it? 8 hours of class time, 30 rounds down range. Here you go, you can carry a gun, right? I mean, do I want a person that had 8 hours in a classroom and 30 shots at a standing target that's paper not shooting back at me, starting to shoot at things when I'm in church or when I'm in a mall or a movie theater? And how much do they shoot after that, right? When I talk to church safety and security teams, I'm like, you need to train every month. SWAT team, we train twice a month, and we shoot half of that time. Because when we take a shot, and we miss, there's problems, right? That's why I talk armed church security. If you take that shot and miss, and hit Ethel, the 80-year-old, Ethel's family is going to be really upset, right? And you're probably going to lose a lot of money in your house. So, yes, Denise.
If someone isn't comfortable carrying a gun, they still want to protect themselves in their place of business or even at home. I've heard some people mention that something as simple as a can or canister of a Raid, which sprays long distances and can be shooting so that it makes it too
Alexander, I talked about Alexander Drugs, right? Over in Fenville and Saugatuck. They were one of the first businesses I trained, and that's what I told them. If you don't want to carry a gun or you don't want to, have other baseball bats or anything like that you can protect yourself with, a can of wasp spray. Hamilton School's got a go bucket in every classroom, right? They've got first aid kit, they've got bandages, they've got some food, they've got toilet paper, they've got flashlight, they've got a glass breaking tool, and they have a can of Raid, because fire departments, any fire extinguisher that's in a building that's not personal use has got to get inspected every year. So you go to Wayland and put a fire extinguisher in every classroom. You think Mr. Reed, is Tim here? I didn't see him. Okay. Okay, thanks. He was at Hamilton for a while, went to Shelby, and then came over to Wayland here, though. But if you put a a fire extinguisher in every classroom in Wayland Union schools, how much do you think that's gonna cost to get inspected every year? Whereas a can of Raid, sprays 21 feet, wasp spray, whatever, right? Perfect. Like I said, improvised weapon, right? There it is. Okay, you spray that at somebody that's trying to shoot you or do harm to you, that's gonna mess them up. That's gonna mess them up big time. And they're not gonna be shooting at you or spraying at you or trying to hurt you. Because they're gonna be worried about the wasp spray that just got sprayed in their face. So yes, good job, Denise. Thanks for bringing that up. Anybody? Oh, yes.
So a question about the run. When you have kids involved in the church, or I'm from an after-school program, what is the best way to determine where to send them? I know it's a way,
Right.
but you need to be able to collect them again so they can find their families.
When you're in church, I'm sorry.
I'm from an after-school program, but
Okay.
I think this would apply to
Yep.
churches as well.
Oh, yeah. Businesses too, right?
Yeah.
How are you going to account for an employee?
People, how do you collect your kids? In my case, it's mostly tweens and teens.
Right.
How do I collect and make sure that they're safe when we get them back to their family?
I'd
How do
rather-
you determine that plan of the run?
Run or get out, right? Get out and worry about collecting them later. Okay? Eventually, they've all got these, right? They're going to call mom and dad. We're going to find out where they are. I'd rather have to try to find them there than try to have to explain to mom and dad why they're there.
Right.
Make sense?
Right.
So.
Is there a guideline around that?
Not really. Nope. Just get them out, right? The shooting down in Florida, where the kid went in a 3-story building, right? The cop, that security guy, whatever, right? And he walked out with the kids as they walked out. And was at McDonald's sitting down having a Coke with a friend, and then was found later, right? Get them out. Get them away. Get them away from it. We'll find them later. Eventually, they're going to show up. But I'd rather explain to a parent, hey, this is our procedure at Hamilton High School. If they're near an exit, they get out. I don't know where they're at right now, but we'll find them. They're going to call you, right? Other than, sorry, I know where Johnny's at. I know you haven't got a call yet, but I know where Johnny's at, and we'll talk to you in a few minutes or whatever. Make sense? Okay. What's that? Younger kids are a little tougher, right? The kindergartners, but same thing. Get them out, get them away from the building, right? And when I talk to elementary school teachers, kindergartners, right? In high school, I can tell a kid, hey, pick up that book, pick up my golf club, pick up my baseball bat, grab the flag off the wall. If anybody walks through that door after we go into lockdown, hit them with it, right? Kindergartners, I can't do that. Kindergartners, I can't say get out this room and run that way, right? Run to that building or run to that RV over there. There's kindergarten and elementary school teachers they got a big job. They got a big job. High schoolers are going to run out to their car. Middle schoolers are going to run and go somewhere, right? But those little kids, you do the same thing, but you got to herd them back up eventually, right? And law enforcement will help you with that. I tell them when I talk to the teachers, if you ever have a situation where you have to tell your kids to leave the classroom, tell them to run to a fire truck. Everybody knows what a fire truck looks like. Yes, sir.
Short of hearing, two more questions. One, do you recommend any other sort of training, jiu-jitsu?
De-escalation training.
Yep. And then, secondly, if you have someone who's trained, you have like a safety plan or whatever, everybody gets out. Your trained person, do you feel that they are effective at all in mitigating the threat?
Could be, depending on where it's at, depending on if they're at work, right? Right? If you decide at your place of business that you're going to have somebody carry, one person per shift, well, what happens if they're on vacation? What happens if they call in sick, right? What happens if, they can't come to work that day, or they forget it in their car, right? Most people, I carry a gun everywhere I go. My family knows I carry a gun everywhere I go, right? They know that if I say it's time to go to the car And that's our safe word. It's time to go to the car. No matter what we're doing, they know, don't ask me a question, just go to the car. That's our safety plan, right? So again, a gun takes care of one problem, okay? Fire extinguisher can take care of a lot of problems, right? If you have fire extinguishers available to you, those spray, they mess up the floor, you know, they can slip and fall. And if you run out of compressed air and CO2 stuff, you can smack them in the head with it. Okay? There's videos out there online, right? That you can watch. Just pull up active shooter or active assailant and they'll come on. We say active assailant now, change the verbiage because it's not always right. We've seen it's not always guns. They're stabbing people, they're running people over with cars. A person with a car is just as deadly as a person with a gun, right? That's why you need to be situational aware. If you're in a parade and a car comes, you know, like Wisconsin, you're in a parade and a car comes running down in the middle of the parade, there's something wrong. Got to do something, right? Thank you for having me. Denise, thank you for having me. It's great. Anytime I can get in front of people and talk about this, I love it. Thanks.